And hey, we are live.
Hello.
guys.
Hello.
Hello everyone.
Hello.
Sorry, it's so hard. I forgot. Like my camera's off angle. For those of you who are joining us, we're just gonna wait for a couple more minutes. Right now, if you are tuning in this, if you randomly came across this live stream, it's just a bunch of like random friends coming together, talking about photos and things like that. We're gonna wait for about 5 more minutes. Wait for a couple more people to come in. Today is gonna be at least a little bit more relaxed. We don't need to be too serious. We're just gonna talk about like the stuff, how we got to where we are, a little bit about us. I think probably most of you who are watching, you probably see some of us on social media, so you've probably seen this live stream from there, so you probably have a bit of an idea. So we're probably gonna relax, talk with each other, as well as some questions. I think right now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna wait, and then I'm also going to share this onto social media, so at least like
Oh, I haven't shared yet.
we can get a couple more people.
Let me share my Instagram
get a couple
too.
more people on.
Yeah, okay, so I think to give a little
How
background.
do I
since we're
share
just
a
waiting-
live stream?
Oh,
Can you share a live stream?
you can share on Facebook.
Oh no,
yeah.
wait, yeah, you can.
Oh,
Sorry.
Insta story. Everyone say hi to
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah, say hi. I'm gonna take a photo. Okay, I'll share this.
Anyway, so
I can't really see how many people we have on. I'm not so sure if there are anybody on. Is anybody on yet?
Yeah, they are. Wait, let me check. We have 11 people viewing right now. Yeah, I think to give a little bit of background of why we did this, for those of you guys who are watching, we've known each other for like what, 3 years now, guys. Three years going to
Three?
be 4.
You?
It feels like longer lah. 4
1,
years.
2,
ah.
3, 4. I think we're entering our 4.
Oh,
French.
4 years. Okay, cool. We have 4 years we've known each other, and I think we wanted to get together since we haven't met each other and we haven't met as a group in such a long time. I think last time we met was almost exactly a year ago. In totality, was the launch of the.
Reuben. Sorry.
Wait,
You know the link that you shared in WhatsApp
huh?
is actually the testing page, so it's a new thing. So don't share that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't share that. Okay, anyways, yeah. So
Alright.
if you guys checked, right, because I checked my history recently, right, the last time we met together as like all of us together was the launch of the EOS R5 at the studio
yeah.
actually. Yeah, and that was exactly like a year ago.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
The
that?
launch of the R5.
The R5, R6, the back.
Oh, that was a while ago.
Yeah, it's literally July 8, July 9 or July 8, like 2020. Yeah.
That was last year.
Yeah, it was last year.
Not like a 2019 moment.
2020 doesn't count anymore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So, Sam, do you want to say anything or whatever, or you want to get the ball rolling? We have about 13 people with us now.
We have about so once again, if like anybody is interested, if towards the end of the session, we're probably going to open it up for like some question and answers, some Q&A, so you can ask like any kind of questions that you might, at least related to photography. We have some people who are checking out the questions and things like that, so feel free to ask. Do you guys want to wait a couple more minutes, or you want to just go and jump straight into it? Up to you guys, since it's like there's no formal thing happening today.
What's everyone's
Yes,
point?
no, I don't know.
Yeah.
If not, I will make an
Can?
executive decision. Okay, we have
say
some slides,
yay.
so let me just get that up. Slides. Okay. I think we're just gonna go, and I think as based on our Awesome. So this is all of us. This was our last group picture. I think we took this during the 1DX Mark III launch. Yeah. That was 2 years ago. Same.
Last year, lah. No, man?
No lah. Oh wait, yeah. Shit, sorry. I thought we were in 2022 already. Oops.
Wow, 2022.
I don't look at the back. I only look forward. Anyway, so for those of you who are just tuning in, we have a couple of people here. We are all going to be introducing ourselves. So let's not waste any more time. Unless I think the first one is going to be talking is going to be Acacia, I think.
Yeah, I think we can just run through like for everybody watching. Hi, I'm Acacia. I think we want to just like run through who we are. Rhiannon, you want to go first?
Okay, hi. I'm Rhiannon. You can call me Rhiannon. I'm a fine art conceptual photographer. Yep.
Annice?
Oh, yeah. Hi, my name is Annice. I hope you guys have a nice week tonight. Okay, the fun. Yeah, I'm a sports and documentary photographer. Yeah, I'll tag Reuben next.
Oh, okay, hi, everybody. Hi, I'm Reuben. I am well based here. I am a video photographer and also do a lot of events and stuff like that. And I'm also in advertising. And Bara, go next up.
Okay, hi, I'm Barathan. I'm an all-rounder, just like myself. So I shoot weddings, portraits, events, and everything. So we'll be discussing about a lot of things today. And we left out anyone? Sam.
Sam.
Wait, did everybody go okay? Okay, well, hi everyone, my name's Sam. I am a commercial photographer and filmmaker. As I think Reuben mentioned, I'm not so sure if you mentioned just now, we also have like a we do photos and videos. So we're all Canon EOS Youth Ambassadors here. So this, just feel free to ask us anything. Besides asking for free cameras, that's about it. You can ask anything else.
I want to ask for a free camera.
Ask Sam
No,
for a free camera.
no. I've got a lot, but I'm not going to give any away. But anyway, so today, as we mentioned, for those of you, I see a few people still joining us. We're going to be talking a little bit about our creative journey. Some of the thoughts that we might have been going through. At least, as I think some of us mentioned just now, we've been friends for like close to 4 years already, which is a really long time considering that we've not seen each other in person for like 2, I think. Yeah, it's been a pretty long time. So we're going to be talking a little bit more. So we're also going to be discussing some of our creative journey. There are a lot of people that ask us, considering that we are relatively still young in the industry. Well, some of us are older than others. But we're still pretty young in the industry. And one of the things that the whole Canon EOS Youth Ambassador program is really to empower youth or younger people to pursue their passion in photography, not as just on the sidelines, but also as a profession as well. So that's we want to talk about a bit, like how some of us have gotten here to where we are today. So okay, I'm gonna push this on over to Acacia.
Yeah, wait 1 second. I think I also want to like highlight that I think in the previous slide, in our introductory slide, you can see that all of us have we've sort of nicheify ourselves. And I think on the offset, for those of you watching, especially people who just started into photography and want to explore it, you should know that the best photographers are quite diverse. Like between all of us, we can do a lot of things personally, each of us. But we have also played up to our strengths. So when you read our titles and the creative works that we do, keep in mind that this is not all that we do. Like for example, Rhiannon, it's not that she only does fine art or conceptual, she's able to do portraits and other categories of photography as well. But as a photographer, and in explaining our journey, we just want to highlight some of our favorite and our strengths in our works. So yeah, I hope you guys are happy to check out what we're about to share with you in this session.
Yeah, that's totally true.
Yeah.
Okay. Acacia, on to you. Whenever
Yeah,
you're ready.
so it starts with me. Hi everyone, Assalamualaikum. Thank you so much for joining. For those of you watching, I assume for whoever's here tonight or whoever's catching up to watch this after the live session, you are interested in Canon programs and getting into photography. So all of us are going to be sharing about our creative journey. Here's mine. I bought my first camera in 2014. I was a young core student then. I'm still a young, not a core student anymore, thankfully. So in 2014, I got my first camera. It was a Canon 600D. I got it because I asked around from my friends. I think that's what you do when you first want to invest in a camera, right? And a lot of friends were using Canon systems because it's so easy, especially for beginners. And the Canon 600D is an amazing camera. I would recommend a 200D series now if you're looking to get one. So I bought the camera, and that was because I was pursuing my studies overseas in architecture in London, which is an international hub of travel. So I started traveling. I think once you're overseas, right? I think all of us, if we're given the chance, would be out and about anytime. I'm sure like the rest of the EYs would agree. So then I started traveling, and I think that first year, 2015 to 2016, I traveled to about, I don't know, like more than 10 countries. I think I was on about like more than once a month. And it was amazing. And I did this mini project. It was a travel journal called Acacia. You can see in 2016, I went to Berlin, and it's basically this travel journal that sort of contains all of my sketches, my photos, and it all encompassed into this project called Acacia that was submitted for the Asian Travelers Contest in 2016. It got shortlisted, but because I was still studying, I wasn't selected as an ambassador for AirAsia at the time. But it propelled me and gave me confidence to continue photographing and traveling the world. So when I graduated in 2017, my friend shared with me the poster for a Canon EYA program, and I was like, man, I'm too noob for this. What's the word for it? What's another word for noob? I don't know. But like you have zero confidence, right? And then your friends are just like, go for it lah. Just submit whatever. So then on the last day, I was like, okay, I'll do this. And I took my phone because I was just like, I don't think I'm gonna get it anyway. And I recorded a video, I uploaded it, and I think 20. How many people got selected for that first for that thousand?
I think it was 27, if I'm not mistaken.
26, right? Yeah, so about 26, 27 people got selected out of the whole of Malaysia. I mean, people were coming in from Sabah and everything. And yeah, and now I think 8 months later, the six of us here were selected. And that became a huge part in my personal career personally because it gave me the confidence and a sort of validation in what I do. And I think if you're watching this, please keep in touch with all of the camera brands, social medias, because there are always programs that you can join. And this is what happened with all of us, I assume, right? So then after I got a Canon ambassadorship, I started going to more travel photography, tourism photography. I worked a lot in the hospitality industry. I was working with the Rias group, and they have hotels across the region, so I was photographing for them. In 2019, I was doing a lot of traveling, and I got selected as one of the media cohorts for the Turkish tourism for the year of the Göbekli Tepe. So we went there to celebrate their national heritage. Göbekli Tepe is like one of the most ancient sites in the world. It's really beautiful if you go. And yeah, and ever since then, my career has been going on for tourism, travel, architecture, lifestyle. I do a lot of content for social media as well. So that's my journey. I think so. If you like press, there's a bit of animation, or has it been pressed already? I'm not sure.
Sorry?
Yeah. So
sorry.
besides travel, architecture, and lifestyle, I also do a bit of documentary. I was with Cinta Sierra Malaysia last January before COVID happened. And I think if you press another one, there's another photo. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was when I was in Nepal in 2019 with Malaysia Airlines. That was so long ago. I can't believe that was 2 years ago. But yes, so that's what I do. On to Annice. Woo!
Yours is quite a journey.
Yeah, I'm sorry if that was long, but I'm just like crying because oh my god, we've come so far, guys.
I think one of the things that I can really relate with you is you major in architecture as well, right?
Yeah, we're both the architecture graduates here. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think one thing for how Acacia and I really, when I first saw her or when I first heard about her story, I really gravitated towards like, hey, I think we survived architecture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only thing between Acacia and I is you actually pursue masters, right?
Yeah, I did my masters.
So I did my part 1. So I think my journey my creative journey started from architecture, and at that time I was like interning. I was an architect assistant, and back in architecture, I was a self-taught photographer as well. That basically, I'm not sure Acacia will resonate with this. We have to be our own COE, which is chief of everything. We have to be, in terms of, you have to be good in sketching, good on the eyes, good in ideas, come up with solution to help, a feasible solution to help the community, and pitches. And at the end of the day, everything was really tired. We have to be good with software. Then we still have to pitch to our lecturer, aka our clients, to really convince them to let us pass at least. So yeah. So after graduating in architecture is where I actually found photography, because during architecture we went to site visits, and you have to take your model and present it down. So I used to use manila cards and put behind my models. Then after that, during semester break, I would work as a freelance photographer. Then after graduate, I went to work with this event company called Min Events, where I was the production designer, because I think during architecture, I also love stuff like Harry Potter. I love how the sites, my dream used to wish to work for Disneyland or work, yeah, work for Disneyland, work with the engineers, like how to design the theme parks and stuff, and
Oh,
Harry
yeah.
Potter, like set designs. Then yeah, after that, moving on as a production designer, work as a project coordinator for an NGO. That's where the documentary photography comes in, really heavily involved. And then yeah, at the end, really narrow down and in the niche of documentary and sports photography, because growing up as well, aside from architecture, I was a national figure skater. So that's where I feel like in order to pursue winter sport in Malaysia, it's already hard enough because
Mm.
that's not really recognizable. So after I graduate, I feel like I can actually use my skill, even though I retired and due to injuries and stuff, I can still use my skills to capture from the athlete point of view, and the photos are used as to work with federation and association for grants to basically educate the government that or why is it need funded. Yeah. So I think the next slide. I think this is my journey in terms of, I think the photo speaks for itself. This is the journey when it comes to sports photography. Started in 2015 is where I graduate. So after during that time, I have more time to explore around. So I thought black and white is cool. Then after that, I thought like color, just like highlight the color because the costume on the ladies is very nice. So I thought like, oh, pandai pandai just highlight like macam very cool. Then after that, learning that, I started to go to YouTube or go to start learning from international photographers visually, like start studying photos from Getty Image, from Reuters, Associated Press and stuff. So 2016 start develop, and then 2017 they think that, oh, we need someone on the inside to photograph SEA Games. So there's that. Then after 2018 is to also I think it's also down to believing your subject as well, to have faith in them and to see where they go. So it's like living in parallel lives, that as you really believe in the story and the subject, you as they grow, you grow as well. So I was very fortunate to follow our national athlete Julian Yee to the Olympics. Then 2020 was the Four Continent, which was the last place I traveled, which is Seoul, Korea. Yeah. And then I think the next one, yeah, another next one is the documentary. So I think 2014 is actually my first workshop with Canon. And that time I have a Canon 55OD, and I remember it was Grace Dunn, the current EOS ambassador, who taught that. So that was the 2014 one. Yeah, she was like my hero back then. Yeah, and 2016 I also did some traveling. This was Petra in Jordan, and then I think 2018 is where like what Acacia said, same as her, friends send you the poster, and for me at that time I really needed support because I feel like how far I can go with photography, and with my tool that time it was the Canon EOS 55OD with the kit lens 1855. So I was like, oh, if I join this program, if only I get picked, at least I know that I would have a proper training, like I will win myself a semester of proper training. So that was very exciting. So yeah, everything evolves around there. 2018 with the Canon Youth Ambassador program, which is built to enable young creatives, young emerging photographers, and see how far we can go. So really appreciate that. And 2019, I was under an apprenticeship with AP, Associated Press, which is I think it was a huge leap of faith to jump in there. And this is 2020 is where I decided to like explore out, branch out, work with other creatives, is where this photo landed on the Times cover. Yeah. Oh, that's a mouth long. All right. I think need to tag someone next.
Yeah, sure. Let's go on to Barathan.
Ta-da! Hi! Hi, I'm Barathan.
Mara, I thought you were gonna give us a lecture.
Wait. Okay, let me on my timer. I'm going to finish this in 5 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah,
don't rush. It's okay.
All right, okay. I'm Barathan. I'm one of the oldest young youth ambassador in the whole team, actually. Yeah, and and I'm the only married one here actually. So, all right. So I actually
I'm married to
started.
my camera, so like.
I was drinking.
All right. So I actually love photography from young, and my father used to. He used to photograph things as well. He was not professionally into it, but he had a camera and he used to like photograph a lot of things. So I'll be like, sometimes he'll take a lot of good photos and then he'll print it out in an album, and then when he brings back home, so I love to look at the photos. And so you want to impress your parents sometimes, so sometimes when I get the chance to hold the camera, I used to take a lot of photos as well also. So that happened, and then like I was in the school editorial board, so that's where actually I started to learn on compositions, the designing work and all those things. So that got me to be more interested in photography, but I only had a small camera at that point. So like I was like using my father's one or my friend's one or something like that. So after that, I became a hairstylist. So like when you are in the hairdressing school, you'll be like the ref or most of the reference photography, photos are from like international magazines and all those things. So I used to have the idea of like, okay, in future I should do this kind of hairstyles and everything, and it should be photographed in this way. So I used to ask my friends around. I'd be like, "Hey, Mike, can you photograph this for me? Can you photograph this for me? But I can do all the hairstyles, but I didn't really got a friend who can photograph the exact thing that I had in my mind. So that pressured me to actually start doing photography actually.
Yeah,
So
I think some girls have that problem, right? Like you cannot take my photo nicely. So you're like,
yeah,
learn how to take photos.
yeah, actually. And like sometimes you'll have some compositions like, okay, I want like this kind of lighting, this all these things. So like I had a friend, so he had a 550D camera. So I used to borrow from him, and then I'd be like, okay, let me try this, let me try that. So I was experimenting with the camera, and at one point he said, okay, never mind, I'm going to sell this camera, I'm going to buy a 6D camera. So I said, okay, I'll buy the 550 camera, but we were like still sharing the camera and we were still doing things, a lot of things. But I think in 2014, I went missing, and then I came back. In 2014, I was like, okay, I have to buy a new camera. Let me buy it. So I bought a 60D because initially the idea that I had in my mind was like, okay, if I'm going to borrow, I'm going to buy a 60D. My friends were all using Canons, so I can like pinjam the lens and then like all those things. But that didn't happen. That didn't happen at all, because when I bought my camera, so like I'll have a 550 and a 60D. I used to shoot a lot of weddings and then a lot of events together with my friends. So all those money that I get from all the events, I started to buy new cameras, new lenses and everything. So that's how I started to experiment. So never really had a proper photography guru, but of course magazines and YouTube. I mean, when I was learning YouTube, there was no much YouTube videos on photography actually. Or like right now we have a lot of tutorials and a lot of people are sharing, but at that point of time it didn't happen in that way. So I have to slowly learn the manual way of doing it and everything. So that's how I started. Then what else I wrote here? Yeah, okay. So the additional point that I had was being a hairstylist, I've been doing hair for a lot of Malaysian celebrities. So like these celebrities will have a lot of friends and everything. So sometimes when they have events and or they need to be photographed or something, they say, Mike, you have a camera, right? Let's try to experiment. So from there, I started to do a lot of like VVIP events and then like concerts, portraits, this and that. So that thing grew, but still I never had the confidence actually. So because it was all experiment, but whatever that they were seeing is actually the self-taught thing that I learned. Oh, the 5 minutes over. Like 1 more minute maybe.
I'm gonna try and push you to towards your next slide if you can.
Yeah, okay. So then in 2018, David Wu, who works in Canon, is actually my client. So I joined the Canon Photo Marathon. There he showed me the poster. He said, "Macha, you're joining this." I was like, "Sir, I didn't learn photography and all those things. I'm just experimenting." He said, "No, no, no. You're joining this. If you don't send the thing, I'm not going to come to your shop. I'm not going to cut hair with you anymore." That's how he threatened me. I was like, okay, okay, I'll do that. So on the last day of the submission, he called me in the morning. He said, "Macha, have you sent?" I say, okay, I'll send. So I did a video with the presentation and everything. I sent, but I actually thought I'm not going to get it. I was like, okay, I'm still sustaining my client. You see, David Wu is still going to come to me and cut hair with me. So I thought, okay, that happened and everything. So I think after 2 months or something like that, we got a letter. Then it's like, you are selected. I'm like, huh? Really? So I called David. You did something. Say, no, you said you got something. So that has got nothing to do with me. Obviously, he got nothing to do with that selection. It was like this group of people were doing it, but it was his push to me, like, you have to do these things and everything. So when I came to EYA, I was a bit scared. Although I had a lot of cameras and a lot of lenses that time, I was still feeling like, okay, I am a self-taught guy. Will I be able to do all these things and everything? So after going through a lot of trainings, like, we learned a lot of things about lighting, landscape photography, portrait, this and that, and meeting you guys, all of you. And I mean, out of all the 26 people, a lot of people were actually very, very talented. They have a lot of different talents. So everybody was sharing a lot of technical things. There's like, sometimes like Reuben have shared a lot of things with me. Sam have shared. Rhiannon is a master. I mean, I'm waiting for her to discuss about this design part and all those things. So everybody becomes friends and other friends that we had and everything. So I was learning slowly. Then this thing became very serious to me. I was like, okay, this is very serious. I have to take this as a challenge. I have to really learn all these things properly. So I started to be a very disciplined student. So I started to like, write down all the notes and then experiment a lot of things. Started to buy a lot of photography book, this and that. And I was
I'm
learning.
just gonna ask you to like just speed up just slightly.
Yeah, I'm going to finish it. That's right. We're going to the next slide. Then that's where actually the thing happened. And then once I think 6 or 8 months we were there, we were all selected. So the commitment became more, and I'm actually started to do more things there lah. So these are some of my works. Okay, 2010, this is how I started it with that 550D and everything. So you can see the picture quality and the colors and all those things. So from there, it progressed until the next slide. Yeah, so these are all the things that I've been doing, and thank you for listening. I know it's very long, but I'm just sharing all the information that I have about everyone here. Okay, thanks. So over to who's next? Huh?
Sorry, because like there are 6 of us and we don't.
Yeah, I know.
But that's
Okay.
a
Thanks, Bara. The next one I think we're gonna go to is gonna be Reuben.
Yeah. Hey guys. Funny thing is that I did my timeline first, and everyone started putting photos in the timeline, and now I feel like I'm the weird oddball. But yeah, I'm gonna quickly go through my creative journey, and yeah, I think everyone here has a very interesting background, and I think that's what makes us really cool with each other, is that we all come from different specialties, and then we kind of like blend together quite well, and yeah. So my journey in photography actually started quite a while back, or at least a while back to me in 2012 when I picked up my 60D. This was mainly because I wanted to you know when you're in uni and you're a bit nostalgic and things like that. Me personally, I'm a very nostalgic person, so I was.
Nobody's nostalgic during uni lah.
Sorry.
Everybody just like nobody's nostalgic during.
Oh, sorry,
uni.
I was nostalgic during
Everybody.
uni. In my first year of uni.
That was the 90s.
During my first year in uni, I was really thinking like, oh no, in 2 years' time we'll be gone and we'll all be separated and we won't talk to each other anymore and things like that. And yeah, I was going that far. I was looking at 10 years ahead, and I don't have more friends, that type of thing. And yeah, so I got my 60D because of that, and I wanted to like immortalize memories, And I took that camera everywhere I went. And back then we're talking about 2012, dragging around 60D, which is a kind of like a semi-pro camera or something like that, semi-enthusiast camera, I would say, made me look like I was very professional, even though I was literally learning as I went along. So I got the camera first before I learned how to do anything with photography.
That's why gear is super important. Whoever says gear is not important,
It is not as important as your eye.
Okay, sorry. I was interjecting, right?
But yeah, so in the end, I became known in uni as like that guy with the big camera. And so people started calling me around, say, hey, we're actually having this event in the cafeteria now. You want to come by? Oh, level 5 is having that event now. Can you drop by and just help us snap a little bit of photos for Facebook? And yeah, that's how I started. Started taking a bit more photos for events and things like that. And I think that's where my journey really, where my craft actually specialized in. When I did a lot of events over the last 3 years after that. Then came the time when I entered the agency life. Those of you who are familiar with advertising and marketing, you will know that visuals are kind of like on par with whatever you do. And yeah, in 2015, I actually joined. I joined the agency life, and I started doing a bit more creative stuff as well. Even though it was not very photography related, I managed to be able to blend like my love for video, my love for photography, my love for writing into one job actually. So that was a very interesting progress, I think. Then move on to the next year, 2016, was when my boss actually, it's quite interesting because he pulled me aside and said, hey, you always launch this huge camera around everywhere, even in the office, wherever you go, you have this camera. Do you do videos? And then he started seeing the videos that I've been doing, and he said, look, instead of doing freelance videos behind the company's time and things like that, why don't you start a production arm? And then it started. So together with a partner, we actually started offering video services to clients, like huge clients that we would never be able to get on our own, kind of thing. And we started making like these really quick, we called it 48-hour videos. Essentially, from the moment the brief came in, brief as in the client requested for a video, we will brainstorm and everything and produce the video within 48 hours. So we deliver in 2 days. So it was like every single day at work felt like an amazing race, like a little 48-hour film challenge. And that was pretty fun for a while. But of course, it gets tiring after a while and things like that. So that's really my first venture into video. Actually not really my first venture, but my first in-depth and venture into video where I could actually see this as a career. So moving on, I continued to do videography and photography on the side. I continued to do that, and along with my full-time job, I moved a few agencies here and there. And then 2018 came around, and actually a bunch of friends spotted it and started tagging me in that post. I think that's a lot of our stories here. Everyone kept on prodding us to go for it. And yeah, I'm very glad that we actually went for it. And yeah, the title of Canon Canon EOS Youth Ambassador was kind of a surprise for me. Personally, I felt like Sam and me are very similar in terms of our style and things like that, and I thought he would.
I'm just better on it, that's all.
I thought he was going to be my biggest competition. Yeah, so yeah, that was something else. But yeah, that same year we started. Sam and I actually started Lego Shoot as well, which is like this community of photographers and creatives where we try to gather every single month. So if you guys can find it on Facebook as a Facebook group, just join it, and then we'll plan things and we'll try to do some creative exploration every single month.
It's open for everyone, right?
Yeah, open for anyone to join. Yeah, so shameless plug to Lego Shoot.
Regardless of what camera you're using, but obviously Sam and Reuben's gonna give more Canon tips. So I think we should just if you guys want to join, feel free to join.
Yeah, it's a really we are open to anybody from, as long as you are interested in this, to hone these creative skills.
I will plug that towards the end.
Okay,
I think
fine.
we'll just move on a little bit first.
Yeah,
because
okay, so
running out of time.
2018, that's done. I also bought my mirrorless camera then and went into the world of mirrorless. So in 2019, things actually started picking up in terms of freelance work. It was the first time when I felt like my freelance work could actually become my full-time job. At this point in time, I was still struggling between the two lives. I've been having a double life in a way since 2015, which is kind of like a long time to work two jobs. And so yeah, a lot of new clients came in, a lot of interesting big clients came in. And so fast forward to 2020, I decided to open Roundtable Studios with Sam. Basically thinking look, we might as well make our business legitimate. We might as well, since we have the income that's coming in anyways. And yeah, and by opening up a studio and a production house, we actually managed to bring in more clients because now we have our own branding, we have our own marketing, and yeah, you guys are actually seeing it on this page right now. This is our Facebook page and things like that. So yeah, that's basically my journey. I'll quickly pass it on now to Rhiannon.
Okay, hey. Oh, okay. Hi guys, I'm Rhiannon. So yeah, all of us have like very different creative journeys. So for me, I actually started back in 2009, but I'm not gonna talk about it here because it's a generic teenage year trying out photography just for fun. And at the time, I didn't really know what I was doing in photography. I think like if you're trying to be serious in photography, you're kind of like you're looking for that sort of self-identity kind of phase. And I think I was having that in my pre-teens already. I don't know why. I think that was like some early self-identity crisis. So in 2012, I think like in high school, I was having a really tough time at like juggling between studies and like my friends and things like that. And it got to a point where I felt quite low in life. I'm not trying to be like negative or anything, but this is what really happened. And I didn't have a lot of friends to share, like talk about things with. I didn't feel comfortable talking about things. So one day I went out and took my camera with me. At the time I was already like into photography, but I really didn't know what I was doing. So I went out, I was taking photos around my garden, and then I was thinking, maybe I should try taking photos of self-portraits. Because I've read online that if you take photos of yourself, you get to understand yourself better in that kind of sense. So surprisingly, when I took a photo of myself, I felt like some sort of relief. I felt like at that moment, it was some sort of epiphany that photography was able to capture a feeling rather than just a moment. So that was the actual photo that I took in 2012. It was just this very muted looking color. So that was really new to me. And from then on, I found a reason to create. And I tried to like experiment more with like self-portraits, things like that. And it happened for, I think, 2 years. And then SPM happened. So I took like a hiatus there. And then after SPM, I had like this huge gap month before university. This is when I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do in my career. And I thought, okay, let's just spend like this past 6 months just taking photos, anything like self-portraits or whatever. And I went online and I found like this online community. At the time, we didn't really have like, Instagram wasn't the it thing. We didn't have a lot of tutorials on YouTube. We didn't have a lot of like influencers to follow, right? So this was all very new to me. And I wanted to find people who are like, can connect with me in a way with my art. So I found this 52-week project. I'm not too sure if the rest did this. It was one photo a week for a year. So I tried that. And I met people online, like all over the world, in the UK, Singapore, New Zealand, all of this. And then I met a person who was doing conceptual photography. And then I saw that it was possible to do more than just capturing things, like really putting all the elements of design, drawings, painting, and photography. And at that point, I was like, okay, I really like to draw and I really like to paint. I like to do a lot of artsy things. And I was thinking, okay, I can do this. I can try and like play around. So this was one of the photos that I did in 2014, where I felt I really honed my photography style. And at that point, it was like, I don't know how many years, maybe 5 years of doing photography. And I didn't know what kind of genre I wanted to do. So when I discovered conceptual, it was like, oh, okay, this is really interesting. This is something new, something I haven't seen, especially being in a small town in Sabah. So from then on, from 2014 to 2016, I was just experimenting with a lot of self-portraits, but I didn't really know where I was going. I never thought photography was going to be a full-time thing for me. It was just merely a passion, a thing that I enjoyed doing. So in 2016, I felt like trouble balancing between two worlds because this is when I joined university. And similar to Reuben, I am in the agency life as well. So if you all know agency life, there's not really life, there's no work-life balance. So during this time, I think I was at my longest hiatus in photography because I was studying and I didn't really grab my camera to anywhere. So then came to 2018 and I was nearing the end of my university journey. And similar to everybody else, a lot of my friends tagged me on the Canon post to join the EOS Ambassador program. So at first I was just like, okay, I'll just join lah. I don't think I'll like get in. But fortunately, I was called and then I met all these amazing people. And at the time going in, I was kind of scared, similar to everyone here, because I had my own niche. And when we went there, we had to go like super general. We had to try out different kind of photography. And that was when I kind of like understood that even though you have your own niche, you should also be able to do all the other things. And the reason why I wanted to join the program was kind of to prove that conceptual photography is part of photography as well, because there's a lot of taboo between photo manipulation and photography. So that was like my reason to join the program, was to prove myself wrong. Like, I can do this. This is not just some kind of passion. I can actually do something worthwhile, and also prove to people that were questioning about my photography. And thankfully, we all were chosen. And at the time, we were all like really good friends. It's also, it was really great to see all of us like, reach the ending line together. Yeah. And then, so in 2018, that was it was really busy, I think, for a lot of us that whole year. And then 2019 as well, because that's like after university and then starting to work and everything. So a lot of my photographs were very dark, I would say, because I wanted to suppress all my, troubled feelings and frustrations to photography, because it was my form of coping mechanism. But then came 2020, and we didn't know it was going to get any lower than that. And until now as well, 2021. So yeah, now my photographs have sort of like developed. I think as photographers, you think that once you reach your style, that's what you're gonna do forever. But for me, it's constantly evolving and learning new things and techniques. So this year, I'm not too sure if you guys noticed, but my photographs are very bright now. Thank you. Yeah, so now I'm starting a new series where I'm churning out more bright photos, because I don't want to, feed off the negativity, especially during this pandemic. But other than that, I mentioned that I didn't think photography was going to be my career, because I'm also in advertising. And fortunately, I was scouted by a program called Acacia. So they're representing my work, and I just recently launched my photography project as well that's up for prints. So yeah, that's my creative journey. And I'll pass this on to Sam.
Awesome. Thanks, Rhiannon. I'm going to go really quickly because my actual story is actually pretty long, but we don't actually have a lot of time. So I'm just going to go very quickly. Obviously, as I mentioned, I'm focusing a little bit more on corporate commercial content that I currently do. That has been partially something that I've been very interested in, because in uni, I actually studied business, majored in marketing and international business, as well as in another uni, I majored in PR. Really, really awesome time. And then I think out of everyone here, I probably took the most direct route. I was already freelancing as a photographer when I was studying, but I think one of the main reasons I also joined the ambassador program is really to sort of like, I wanted it to at least be able to prove to myself, okay, this is the direction that I want to go to as a full-time photographer. And as you know, it just helped a lot to push me towards making that decision. But I just wanted to share a couple of like quick things of how I sort of developed where I am right now. I remember when I started out taking photos, I was using a 650D, really old camera, very, the most basic camera, but I used it for the longest time. I think I started when I was about 16, 17, I started shooting with that, taking pictures of friends. And then gradually, as the progression went on, obviously in uni, I also started to, just take photos in uni, being part of like the student council and things like that, just forcing myself into the whole process. And I think that was one of the biggest jumps as to where I have landed in terms of like this style in work that I have, because a lot of the people that I met in uni eventually started to hire me for work. And I've, worked for brands like the World Bank, I've worked for Coach and things like that. I've worked for like a lot of international clients. And I think it was all because I started shooting in uni and obviously the passion for branding and things like that. And then one of the things that I'm particularly very interested in on the side is actually street photography. It's still something that I particularly enjoy a lot. And there was one reason for that. A friend in uni was working for the World Bank at that time, and she was like, they took a huge risk on like somebody. As you can see from these photos, like these are crap. Like it was, looking for these photos was so cringy going through my hard drive. I was like, bad photo after bad photo. But I think this is very important, because for a lot of people, they see where we are right now as relatively successful, or you can take relatively good photos. But back then, nobody took good photos. Everybody was taking like whatever they could find. And then on the far right with this the old lady and the man there, that was one of the first projects that I did for the World Bank, and it was huge for them, and that would really propelled my passion for street photography. I wish I could go further, but it'll take me forever. And then it suddenly pursued on to where I am right now in this whole space of commercial, corporate photography, because I think as I progress in my creative journey, I've realized that what really inspires me to shoot really is people and branding stories. I love being able to talk about, no matter how mundane the brand might be, like on the far right with that guy, he's a petroleum company for Petronas and one other, Saudi Aramco. That was a fantastic one, and to a lot of people, it's a relatively bland topic to take, because like there's nothing interesting or social media worthy. But for me, these are the things that really interest me, because it's how you brand your business. It's how imagery, photos, videos, and things like that are things that will, as Rhiannon and Reuben said, are very imperative, very important to the whole space of you as a business. And that really excited me so much. And just being able to shoot photos that are related to people and bringing it back to a business perspective is something that I'm deeply passionate about. I'm all over the place right now because I'm too excited whenever I talk about these things. But yeah, that was a brief summary of where I've gone through, and I think the whole idea I want to take back from this is that where I got to where I am now was because whatever that came my way, I took. People asked me to shoot events, I would shoot. People asked me to shoot weddings, I would shoot. People asked me to shoot portraits of whatever they're doing, I will shoot whatever, and it allowed me to learn a lot, but most importantly, meet a lot of people that eventually brought me to where I am today. So with that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about some of the things that a photo, we're all going to be sharing a photo that we really like, as well as some of the creative projects, and at least where we've come to at this point in our lives, in our creative lives as photographers. So I'm going to push. And currently, right now, one of my biggest passions I forgot to talk about is talking about camera gear and film photography. Camera gear is something that I'm particularly excited probably the most about, because I love technology. I love cameras, and film photography is something that I'm also deeply passionate about because I think a lot of us, you might resonate with this when you work so much with taking photos. You tend to forget about why you enjoyed photography the most, and film photography for me has really brought me that too. So this is where I'm currently focusing on in terms of my passion. But yes, let's move on to our creative works, and let's start with Annice. Was it?
Yeah.
Was it me, Acacia?
Yeah, I think my photo should be before Annice's.
Actually, right?
Oh, yes,
Why
sorry.
don't we?
Yes.
There's some interesting questions on the page now. Should we just answer a little bit?
Yeah.
The first, is it?
Yeah. I think you can go back to the previous slide, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we
What
have
was the question?
I think Macy Wong asked some really brilliant questions. So the first question is, I mean, we can answer the best we can. So Macy Wong, thanks for asking that question. As ambassadors, what do you guys do now? Or in better words, what will you guys have to do for Canon?
I can answer that. So
Yeah.
as ambassadors, I know a lot of you are wondering as well, we host workshops for mostly our target group are university students or school students, youth basically, not just the ones in university. I think between all of us, we have conducted workshops for our various university schools and also corporates. I think even Reuben has done some workshops for his company. That's what we do. We educate the public on what Canon is up to, the new equipment that's coming out. We also conduct, so there's workshops, webinars, we test out the equipments, and we figure out the best way to share it with you guys. I think that's one of the most exciting parts of what we do as well. Yeah.
I think one more thing to add on to that is that we, in a way, I think it leads on to the second question that Macy has as well. It's about reigniting that love for photography. And a lot of times I think we take photography for granted. A lot of people just have that smartphones and just and for the majority of people, that's enough. but there are going to be people who want to dig deeper and go further than that. And I think that's what we are here for. We are here to try to nourish that passion and that I guess that desire to want to take better photos, that little bit of that nudging feeling of trying to do something better. And that's what I guess that's what we are also around for, to promote positive photography in a way.
And I think also to show people that you don't have to be a professional, like a super pro, like a master, like a serious person to enjoy photography.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's for
I mean,
anyone.
yeah, I mean, if you've been joining the webinar, this session, you know that all of us came from really various backgrounds with no expert experience, well, maybe except for Sam in photography, and we're all here.
Yeah, I came out from my mother's womb, like knowing how to take photos. I came out with like a
yeah,
camera.
like genius hair. Yeah, I think that's one of it as well. And and one of the things, I mean, if you ask us why Canon as well, I just want to add that Canon is one of the few brands in the world that has the full system, from hardware, photo, like a camera, and then they have the software as well, the Canon DPP, and then they have the printers as well. So you have the full suite of things which we get to use, and you get used to if you use Canon.
Yeah, should we go for the second question?
Yeah, I think we'll just take the second question and then probably the last one we'll do later.
Yeah.
You guys think photography will stay on? If so, any platform in mind, considering how Instagram is moving towards video? I actually have a very strong opinion about this, and it'll probably take very long. But I do want to say, like, who announced that Instagram was moving towards video? Was it Adam is he's what's his role?
I think he's like the head of program for Instagram or something.
Okay. Yeah, when Adam announced that, every photographers were going crazy, and I think like there needs to be a difference between a photographer and a content creator. You can be both, but sometimes when you're on Instagram, you're generally going to be a content creator if you're looking to grow on Instagram. The thing is that as photographers, you cannot rely on social media. You cannot rely on these external validations to pursue photography, or you cannot rely on social media to validate your work. Ultimately, photography is not going to go away, because as Reuben and Rhiannon know from agency, you're always going to need photos regardless of what it is. So if you base your entire perspective on Instagram being the sole platform for you as a photographer to post, you're probably focusing more as a content creator versus a photographer. And I think that's a very important distinction that you need to make. Photography will never go away, but content creation in the way it's made, if you do photography as a content creation platform, will change. And in that regard, yes, it will. Definitely. Instagram will not be the same again. Yeah, if you're looking to grow up.
Also,
Yeah.
I mean, if I can add one more thing, working in advertising, right? Surprisingly, right now, in terms of performance and which platform does better, it's actually found it's within the industry that actually static images, which is basically photography, they perform a lot better than videos at the current state, if you want to count for like awareness and things like that. So in a way, there is a time and place for photographs, and there's a time and place for videos. And yeah, and I think the thing that really we need to get down to it is that we need to know the story that we want to tell. And if the story is important, that story is insightful, and it triggers your emotion and things like that, then there's always going to be a platform for that story, whether it be static or video.
I think echo what Reuben said, that when it comes to news nowadays, you know, everybody is like feeding news, whether it's on like Yahoo, Bloomberg, or any New York Times. They're really looking for compelling images to really catch your attention. That's the first thing they want to catch. You know, we're so consumed by content nowadays, like feeding content nowadays. So what I think the editorial side, the first thing is the one shot that tells the whole story. Then after that, with all the news and story come. So I think, yeah, still images is pretty relevant at this time.
So I hope there's no echo.
Okay. Anyone else want to continue? Say any more? If not, we'll just move on to Acacia's photo.
Yeah, I hope we answered the question well, Macy, and thanks for it.
Awesome. Okay, Acacia, on to you.
Hi guys. So I do a lot of architecture, lifestyle, and travel images, and this is one of my favorite photos that I shot a bit earlier on in my career. Actually, this was the photo that made me feel, maybe I can take photos. I was in London, which was a city that I've lived in for I think about 4 years at a time. And you know, when you live in a city, wherever you are, you rarely go to the tourist spots, right? I mean, you feel like, oh, they've been photographed so much. But this was one evening in summer, I think back in 2000. Oh, I can't remember anymore. And I remember walking here with my friend and seeing this shot. And in real life, the sun was setting on the right of this photo, and it was such a busy rush hour moment. But I took the time and I put the camera on the railing and took a long exposure shot just to get the hustle bus, just to get a bit of the dynamic element into the photo. And I just left it there for a bit, for the long exposure. And for some reason, I managed to get the light really well. And I remember thinking, feeling like, oh wow, if I can control a camera like this, there is so much more that I can do with photography. And yeah, this is one of my favorite images that I've ever taken. It was shot with my favorite lens of all time. It's the fisheye lens. And people normally are quite hesitant to use a fisheye lens because it distorts things quite a lot. But if you know how to align, and if you understand how to compose a photo, it can add so much more depth and so much more um, creativity to a still photo. I like to use the 1740 as well because it's a wide lens, and when you're shooting travel and vistas, you get quite a wide view, which is what people want to see. But the fisheye is still one of my favorites because it just adds a bit more pizzazz to something. Yeah. So this is my
Nice.
favorite photo.
Nice. Okay, we'll move on to Annice. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, this is my favorite photo at the moment. Or I
Famous
would say
photo.
it's the most recent photo I took. I took this on the 28th of June. It was around the time where the white and black flag movement is coming out. And for me, coming as a documentary photographer or currently also working as a photojournalist, that we all need photos that resonate with the current time. So this caused quite a lot of buzz on social media, which I think is very important to actually. It's my first time also experience the magnitude of photos. So this one wasn't filed anywhere until recently. I decided to file to Getty Image, but uh, I think this really taught me a lot in terms of sometimes as a person you don't need assignment, you don't need to be have instruction or have a job or have an assignment to tell stories. You can go, not to say go out, but you can really do it on your own initiative yourself. So this story came about is where I was on my way on that day to go for an assignment, but in the meantime I was also in my mind looking for a black and white flag kind of movement story. So it instilled and had it with me for quite a bit. So as a photographer, you're always like, okay, I need this story, black and white flag, black and white flag. But then when I was in the middle of the traffic waiting out with a peer of mine in the car. Then we saw this guy with a tattered flag at the longgang. So he was shoveling the mud out. So I was like, the most interesting is him and the tattered flag. So I was driving, then I was like, okay, let's go because the traffic light, the T junction turned green. Then a friend of mine in the car, which is my colleague as well, she's like, I think you better stop because the fact that you thought of stopping, and if you don't stop, you will regret. So I decided to stop halfway, then go back to him. And then he wasn't much of a talker, so I just nod my head as a respect and ethically just capture this photo and yeah, put it online. Work with a writer. Her name is Karen Michaela Tan. Work with her to see that how is it, how am I going to deliver this message. So I did tell her like what I want to say. Then she helped me to copyright it, to beautify it. So I think overall it's where the, with the situation now we're in, whether white or black flag, I think this photo, I really hoped that it resonate with people that we are very much like this old man, still wearing the tether flag, or depends how you want to interpret it. And we still try to persevere on and go through hard times, and we're all going through together, lah, whatever circumstances we are in now. So
It's
yeah,
a brilliant photo.
so yeah. But I hope you guys resonate with it, or yeah, anyone can interpret it. Some people think that, oh, this old man is very Kasian and stuff, but how I see it as really you guys can either see this pandemic from a really place of fear or place of like negativity, or you can change your thoughts to start helping people. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Annice. We're going to move on because we're still running out of time.
No worries.
Let's go, Barathan.
This is a very famous singer from India. He have sung more than 50,000 songs. So this was taken when he came to Malaysia the last time for a concert, and he passed away last year. So they have used this photo for a lot of media coverage and everything. So I have a lot of sentiments for this photo. That's why I shared this here. So this will be one of my favorite photo. Moving on.
Really? Oh, that's all? Do you want to say anything else?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It tells a lot of story though. But I mean, moving on,
Yeah.
but thanks for sharing in terms of like he passed away.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Barathan.
Thank you.
Alright, cool. I'm also gonna take a short while. So this is one of my most recent shoots. Basically, I shot this like a week before we went back into lockdown, and this couple, I also shoot them like basically their wedding moved a few times due to the lockdown and things like that. And yeah, one thing led to another. But anyways, we were shooting this at their new home that they just bought to get together kind of thing, and it's super far away. So I don't think you guys can guess where this is. You guys want to try?
Cyberjaya.
I know where.
Hey, yeah, Seminye.
I don't know places.
It is Seminye.
Far.
Yeah. Anyways, it took me like 1 hour to get to them. Anyways, besides that, so the reason why I like this photo quite a lot is maybe because this couple actually they are quite close friends to me and things like that, and we actually went to the park nearby to actually shoot, and we were shooting there from like 5 p.m. until 7 something. And we all know that sunset in Malaysia is around 7:20, right? And so we decided like, okay, let's just go back to your housing area and try to maybe get a few more shots by the grass and things like that. And so we went to the area, we parked the car, we walked out, and we suddenly turned around and we saw, hey, look, there's a rainbow in the sky. And I was like, guys, can we just quickly grab this shot and go? And so basically they were like, okay, let's just do it. And so they ran over there, and I said, start walking, and I start spamming the button there, right? And I think this is the reason why I like this type of shot. It was totally unplanned. Yeah, I mean, composition-wise, it's not that great and things like that. But the fact that there's a rainbow that signified their marriage and things like that, it made it a lot more meaningful. And also, I think it went dark pretty quickly after this. Oh no, sorry, it rained, I think, right after this. So we kind of like quickly grabbed a few more shots and we were done with the day. And yeah, it's one of my most recent favorite photos. It was shot with the R6 and the 2470 f2.8, which I have fallen in love with, unfortunately.
Very expensive photo.
Itchy.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Move on to Rhiannon.
Okay, yeah, so my favorite photo is called Those Who Dream. It references one of my favorite comforting films, La La Land. So recently, I've been like, living alone and in the pandemic, and I've been really bored, and I saw somebody commenting that they feel sad that they can't go out and shoot because I've just been like in these four walls for like the longest time. And I've always been binge watching movies and series. I think anyone who knows me knows that I can finish like a series in 2 days or something. So I thought I might as well make it into like a positive thing, like a more fruitful pastime. So I decided to watch La La Land again. And I felt every time you watch La La Land, you feel different feelings all the time, especially during her last part where Emma Stone sings Fools Who Dream. So I wanted to interpret it in my own way, about chasing a dream, but realistically, because chasing a dream isn't always easy. And that's what she was singing about. So in my mind, I wanted to create something that's quite similar to their poster. Her and Ryan Gosling dancing outside the park, like in LA, I think. Yeah, so I wanted to interpret something loosely based on that, but I also wanted to understand why they chose those colors. So when I studied the colors, I realized that if you like purple, it means like honorable opportunities and things like that. But specifically, if you dream about a purple door, it means that you are chasing for something in the future and you have positive opportunities, something like that. Yeah, so I wanted to implement that purple door. So you see the purple door here. And I also wore a yellow dress. That's me, by the way. Yeah, I also wore a yellow dress to signify that, you know, you can always be positive in terms of like looking forward. Like no one knows what they're doing in their life anyway, at the end of the day. So you might as well just dream and go for it. And there's this quote from the movie. They say, somewhere there's a place where I find who I'm gonna be, somewhere that's just waiting to be found. So that's what I wanted to create based on. And in terms of like the technicalities of it, I really like this photograph because it merges a lot of photos that I've taken from home as well. Like the background, the clouds are photos I took from the plane, like the window going back home to Sabah, and then the waves. Yeah, so in a way, it's kind of like comforting me as well. Even though I'm here, I'm still like thinking about home. So yeah, this is my favorite photo. It was quite easy to come up with as opposed to like my usual complex visuals. But yeah, I love it so much that it's my or you can't see my wallpaper. But yeah, that's all from me. Pass it on to Sam.
You are virtual everywhere, actually, Rhiannon.
Huh?
You're
Oh
virtual
yeah, that's
everywhere.
true. That's true.
Okay, thanks, Rhiannon. We're just gonna jump quickly to mine. Now, I love all the pictures that I take, no matter how bad they are. I think like as a photographer, you need to take ownership about the pictures that you take. And well, I enjoy some, obviously everything can be improved, but I love all the pictures that I take. And particularly this one, I want to share this one because I think this photo is, at least to me, represents what a good photographer is. A good photographer is not just the skills, it is knowing how to use your camera and opportunities. I think you can be a very talented photographer, but you're just not given the right opportunities. You could be given the right opportunities, but you just aren't that good with composition and things like that. So I think like what really makes a great photographer is that you're being able to balance, you know, the way you shoot things, knowing the technical side of it, the creative side of it, and also being able to take the opportunity. I want to quickly talk about how I got this. This is Louis Capaldi. Not a super huge fan of him, but I mean, he's a very big international artist, and I was the only photographer taking this for the PR company that was rushing this. How I got this gig was that it was through a mutual friend, Jingxian. And I wouldn't have met him if I didn't meet Rhiannon. And I wouldn't have met Rhiannon if I didn't meet, if I didn't go for the EOS Ambassador program. And you know, it just leads on. And also, as I was talking to him, he was like, he was supposed to shoot this, but he couldn't make it on that day. And he also remembered like, hey, you also like to shoot music, right? You want to try this one? And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And so how I took this photo was that the 3-song rule, if you guys are not so familiar with live gigs, you know, you can only shoot the first three songs at least in the photo pit. First 3 songs were done. I had to get out. The lady chased me out, and as they were escorting me out of the venue, I turned around, and there is one moment they were already blasting really backlighting him really heavily, and then there was obviously a lot of smoke and things like that. And I just saw the shot, and that was the time like, oh yes, I really need to get this. Can just give me a minute. Just give me a few seconds to take this. It was actually quite difficult considering that the lighting was changing a lot, as well as some of it was very harsh. So understanding how to balance your exposure when you're shooting and then bringing it out in the edit later on, but also making sure your composition is right. And everything just sort of fell into place when he was just belting out, when he was singing, and the way the light, and obviously also the opportunity of being able to shoot him. I think that's why I really want to share this photo for a lot of young photographers. It's like we're always wondering, I think all of us, we're always wondering, how do we get this? How do we get this the best shot? How do we get this shot? How do we get that shot? How do I shoot this famous guy? How do I shoot this famous guy? It's a lot of it is down to being able to take the opportunities and being ready when you are there. And whilst that opportunity is, you are waiting for the opportunity to happen, in the meantime, you need to be working a lot on your technical skills. You need to learn a lot. You need to be ready when the time is right. because you never know when it might happen, and you never know when you might get that photo that you are really, really proud of. So yeah, this is one of the photos that I'm very proud of because of how I actually got to that moment of taking the shot lah. So yeah, that was a photo. So right now we're going to go into a quick Q&A, and also if there's any questions, or if anybody wants to add anything more based on what we've already talked about here lah. So I'll open it up first. I think let's go with the first question, the last question that Macy asked first. Then we can open it up later lah. And I can't find. Okay. What is your advice for facing a creative block, especially during the pandemic?
I can answer that. Yeah, so I think with creative ruts, I especially struggle with it quite often. But what I realize is that it's either you get into a routine or you change your routine. So personally, I didn't have a routine during this pandemic. I was always just waking up, working, go to bed. And that was what I was doing on repeat. But recently I changed it up a bit. In the morning, I would take some time to listen to music, do yoga, then start work. And then towards the night, I'll start doing my creative stuff. I think it's about prioritizing what you want to do as well. And then your creativity naturally comes. Because when you're not looking for it, it's not going to come to you. But I also understand that if you're looking for it and it's not there, you need to take a step back. So that's what I mean by you either change your routine or you get into a new, you start a routine. Yeah, that's my advice.
I think I can add to that. I think whenever I have a creative block, I accept it. I think some people just completely deny it. You know, you're just like, what can I do? What can I do? But I think sometimes you just have to take a break mentally, and then you go and explore other creative outlets, be it movies, be it reading, be it music, be it watching live shows when you can, or catching something that inspires you on articles on YouTube, whatever. I think once you get a different input, other things will start to spark in your head, and that will create like a sort of wave of initiation. Like you'll be inspired by something, and then you feel a bit more uplifted, and then you can continue creating. But I think the important step is to step back and be like, okay, this is a creative block. I might be tired. It's a really trying time right now, and I understand myself. So let me just do other things first, and then come back to it. Yeah.
Stop sharing first. I actually have an opinion about creative blocks, and for me, I think there is nothing wrong with going for an extended period of time without doing anything creative. I think what the pandemic has done is that it has allowed given people more free time to show what they don't normally show to public. So, you have more time to show like the art that you do, especially for people who are working full time and things like that. And when we consume all these things, and then when we see that everybody around us is being so creative, it's actually very difficult, or it can be very damaging for us, because you feel like you're not doing enough. This whole hustle culture is very, very toxic in its own way, and it's all forcing yourself to be creative. So there's nothing wrong with not, for this entire period of MCO, right, I haven't gone out to shoot. For me, I enjoy shooting street photography the most, and I can't do that at home. It's a little bit different. I can't even go out from my house to take photos. For a while, I was thinking, okay, you know what, the algorithm or whatever is not going to favor me. I'm not doing any work. I'm not doing anything that I'm proud of. But then I was just reading a few more articles online, just reading about other perspectives from photographers. It's really damaging when you try to force yourself to become creative all the time. If you don't have to be creative, don't. It's just relax and do things that you enjoy, like playing video games or watching movies or things like that. Don't force yourself if you don't have to. But at the same time, that you do have to strike a balance in where you can't just let yourself slowly creatively die off. You have to, at a certain point in time, have to put some effort back into it. But just remember, if you don't have anything creative to do, don't worry about it. It's not, nobody's going to kill you for it.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think it's like, as a creative, you put pressure on yourself without knowing. It's just like subconscious. So yeah.
Lately, also my editor is like telling me that it's okay not to do anything. And I'm learning to, yeah, because I think with like what you say, so with social media, we also often feel like we're in this hustle culture, like, oh, and you have this FOMO, like, oh, if your peers is doing this, I have to do this. If you're doing this, I have to do this.
Yeah.
So it's very, to be honest, it's very draining. And at the end of the day, it's just not nice because you're not doing for yourself. You're doing for just to keep up or just to stay relevant or just to feel validated. So I think it takes knowledge and it takes wisdom and knowledge sometimes to step back. That's what I learned. That's why I learned this 2 weeks. It takes wisdom and knowledge to actually step back and sometimes take yourself as let's say you're good at photography and it's all you're good at, but try sometimes take it out of the equation and see what else you can do and what do you like to do for fun. Yeah, you like to cook, you like to watch endless YouTube videos of cooking. Yeah, and then try it on yourself. Yeah, sure, go for it. Like for me, lately, my guilty pleasure is binge watching Tiny House. And I was like, oh, I want to build a tiny house next time. Yeah, it's called living big in a tiny house. Like you can see, it was so nice. I don't know why it came out from YouTube, the algorithm. I love it. I love it when the host like, wow, this is such a big space.
And you
Oh,
build it
this is
yourself.
such a nice space. Off the grid. Yeah, it's something completely different from what I do. And I just love it. I just love how people find joy in the simplest thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the question was about having creative blocks. And as someone who is a creative lead in like an agency, I can tell you the practical things to like, these are like the textbook ways of like getting past a creative block. Because the difference with what we've discussed here is that for me, if I take a break from creativity, my job's on the line, right? There's a very big difference there. So like, there's something else over there.
Bye.
It's like, oh, so you're not creative anymore. So how can you be a creative lead anymore? You know, that type of thing. So some practical advice that I've developed over the years is, number one is don't force an idea. Ideas will come naturally. So what I mean by this is that when you're given something or you want to do a project, so for example, you tell yourself, look, I want to do something creative this time. And you give yourself a deadline saying, let's say, 1 week from now, I want to produce something creative. So don't tell yourself on the day itself, like, okay, this is exactly going to be my creative project. You let the thought of doing a creative project simmer in the back of your head for a few days. Let it think, let it process. What happens is that sometimes you'll go through like certain experiences that you go through in life that will suddenly trigger something like, oh, that's creative, or this inspiration from somewhere. And then you can bring those two ideas together. So in our industry, in the advertising industry, we always say that creativity is basically taking two ideas and joining it together. And yeah, that's basically what we are doing. We are saying like, oh, this plus photography or this plus videos could equal something. And yeah, it's something that you shouldn't rush into it. At the same time, you should not stop thinking about it either. It's just keep it at the back of your head, and who knows, sometimes it will just suddenly aha moment, a eureka moment will come up for you.
And it's all about taking this time to reach out to people. I think this is the best time to reach out to people, especially from another country, or you find yourself attending workshop, meeting these people in Zoom that normally, like, let's say annually they have it at the States and it costs like thousands to go there, but now they're hosting it online and you get to meet new people and just sometimes just having conversation also strike up ideas as well.
Okay, what's the next question?
I think
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you still see your careers involving photography 50 years down the line? And any specific goals? Acacia, you look excited. I guess I'll open up with you.
50 years down the line.
That's a very interesting question. Personally, I think, I have this very faraway dream of opening an international gallery that will showcase Malaysian creatives' works. So that's one of my dreams. But also, I really want to amplify the stories of our tourism and our culture and our heritage and our landscape in Malaysia. I think more than anything, it's so important now for Malaysia's tourism to prepare for the opening of travel whenever it may come. So I really would love to photograph a lot more of Malaysia's heritage and culture. That's what I plan to do. Annice?
For me, I would say that last year I started my passion project because I think there isn't any time as good as any, which is Women's Photographer Malaysia. It's actually, yeah. So I think it's more of like encourage more female photographers to be on board, because if you ask me, even during the ambassador program, like there's only like 6 of us out of 21 of everyone. And then it's not a feminist group. It's more of like, I realized like if friend-wise, if you ask me last year before the pandemic, I can actually count that I have 8 friends, including Acacia and Rhiannon. That's all I know. So I feel like, and in terms of how I know, and all I know is what you guys do. So I'm not sure about the fashion photography side. I think the product photography, until I started pioneering a Women's Photographer in Malaysia with my co-founder and a few ladies, and really appreciate Rhiannon and Acacia to jump on board as well. So there's that. I think for the plans I have, it's really to share the pie with everyone in terms of, I hope for the future we can host more workshops to get more grants. And one of my most really something I hope to see is in future is, while I'm a documentary photographer going to a rural area or marginalized community to tell their story, sometimes I just feel like it's not up to me to tell. Maybe for the first 2-3 steps, it's for me to tell. And after that, work with primarily imaging brands to perhaps ask them to donate their demo units, like it could be as old as 2015, 2010, their demo units they're not using, and park it under WPM or even loan it, and then teach the refugee ladies, teach the refugee kids, men and women, female, male, doesn't matter, and then let them tell their own story through their lens, so that it's not us from the outside parachuting. So after they take already, maybe we'll go there to teach them and maybe see their photos, teach them how to edit, and then they can sell prints so that the money will go to them for their provision as well. That's my dream. Yeah. So anyone?
I think the question, how I read this question is as, do you still see your career involving photography 50 years down the line? Is, for me, it's actually, I don't see this as a career. I see this as my daily thing. Like whatever I see composition, I see colors, I see an idea, that kind of thing. So if I like to photograph it, I would photograph it, or else I just admire that thing as a photography thing. So for me, I don't think it's like a career, but it's like everyday thing. So maybe if I'm 70 years old, I'll be still having my camera with me taking photos. So it might not be for like publishing or all these things, but it's for my own thing, that, or I can show my friends like, okay, I saw this, that, like just like how Reuben showed us the photo with the rainbow just now, like that moment, and you want to photograph it, so you suddenly have an idea to do it. So it's not really about the career, it's about that moment. Okay, like we want to take it, so it's like a style of like your own style, and I'm missing again.
Oops.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else? Then we can continue the next question probably.
I think for me,
I can go.
particularly,
Okay, Sam first.
yeah, okay, sorry. Photography and video, actually. I think for the first slide, I forgot to mention I do a lot of video as well. It's always going to be part of my life, and it will most likely be a career that I will never give up, and I probably will never retire in this. My goal is to die holding a camera.
Only one of your cameras or all?
Only one.
One or all?
All his
If you
cameras
see my
and
table,
lenses
right,
around
at
him.
minimum, there's going to be about 4 cameras on my table and full of lenses everywhere, because I'm just, even if I'm not shooting, I'm at least one part of the day I'll be holding a camera. It's just something that I truly enjoy, and once again, it's just a blessing being able to actually doing photography. Obviously, Reuben and I, we have huge plans for A Roundtable, where we want to make it like this huge production house that entails more into an agency and things like that, but that goes into a career. For me personally, in the next 2 years, my plan is to come up with a personal photo book, something that I'm deeply passionate about, which I'm currently producing images for and making. So I guess that's just where I see, but I'll never give it up ever. I'll die jumping out of a plane with a camera in my hand. I'll take that last photo.
Okay, which camera?
Yeah.
That one I cannot say. I love all my cameras. I love all my cameras equally. Yeah,
Very
future.
cool.
Yeah, it could be future camera. It could be the R3. I don't know.
Hint, hint.
Oh, it's good to know everybody's dream.
Yeah, Rhiannon,
And
do you
what
want to go
about-
ahead and answer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So for me, similar to Bara, I don't look at photography as a career. I don't do it full time. I do it because of my passion, but I will definitely never give it up. Like I was just thinking the other day, I would probably do conceptual until I'm like old, or like a grandmother or something. I mean, it's interesting to see like how I would create stories over time. And I think like at heart, I think we are all visual storytellers. So I don't think we'll be giving that up anytime soon. But in the near future, I'm also working on like hoping to use my photography, my art to create opportunities for other people. So right now I'm working on some charity kind of project because I'm like hearing all these sad news happening. I think we could do our own part as well. For me, I'll be launching something hopefully next month to help out with the needy in Sabah, especially for those who are having trouble studying. So I'll be donating some of my photographs and prints, so you guys can watch out for that. Yeah.
Soalan seterusnya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we
Unless
just-
Reuben wants to say anything.
Oh yeah, I have
Yeah,
not said
Reuben,
anything.
share your dream.
Okay, so maybe I should share a bit about that future then. For me, honestly speaking, I think photography for me is I've always seen photography more like a hobby than a job. It's to me it's about, like I said, I started this with cherishing memories and things like that. And as long as I can tell stories in whatever platform, whether it be writing, whether it be photos, whether it be videos, whether it be theater, I don't know, or song or poetry or something to the effect, I'm gonna try to tell stories that way. And photography is it's a tool which I use to tell stories. And I think it's one of the most useful tools that I found so far. Well, that and video lah. And yeah, it's something that I'm definitely going to be continue to do. I will definitely continue to do in the far future. Yeah, but 50 years down the line, I don't know. Career-wise, I see myself more of a thinker and probably maybe have a legion of people under me next time. You know, it's like, I want this type of photo, give it to me now. Who knows? Or maybe I will sketch it out. Or maybe, okay, so for example, who knows in the future of photography, right? That we have already mapped out the entire world. And all we need to do is go around different areas and just say screenshot, and we screenshot whatever you want to have capture already. We do not know what's the future of photography, and it'd be quite interesting to see what it is. Yeah, so with that talk about the future, let's move on to the next question.
Is there?
I think we'll take one more question and then we'll wrap up lah.
You want to go for the role model one? Or?
I think the next question is the last question. Will it be the last question as well from?
Yeah.
Looks like it.
Yeah.
Are there any more questions?
Yeah, I think that's no.
Because I can't see.
Yeah, I think let's wrap up the last question from Eleanor Lim. Really like that name. Who are you guys' role model, idol when it comes to photography and or creative work? So, who do you guys look up to, or inspire you?
Pick a name.
You have to call out him. We're all suddenly very shy.
Thinking.
I actually.
Sorry, Reuben, you want to go?
No. If you have a name, go ahead, because I'm gonna say that I don't have anyone.
Oh, I can go. I think a lot of my favorite photographers are people who curate really beautiful, dreamy, sort of otherworldly images that are taken on Earth. Obviously, I love landscape photography. One of my favorite photographers is Lisa Burns. She's the owner, founder of The Wandering Lens. So if you can find her on Instagram, she creates such beautiful, dreamy fantasy images that are still reality. I mean, she doesn't really manipulate the photo so much. So you can see how attractive can become so to me, so beautifully dreamy. And another one of my idols is Richard Bernabe. He does a lot of photos for and a lot of work for Nat Geo. And Reuben Wu. So Reuben Wu does a lot of these landscape photos where he uses drones to do light strobes. I think a lot of you have seen, I'm not sure. And yeah, so he does all these shapes that highlights the textures of the US rock formations, and it's so beautiful. That's mine. Sam, you got anybody?
Yeah, Reuben Wu is a fantastic photographer.
Thanks, guys.
It's woo, W. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of my favorite photographers are generally going to be street photographers. And I think not in the sense where a lot of people see on Instagram, that kind of street urban photography. I think a lot of these are very much the photos that I love to see are talk about like a lot of culture, the way people live lives, very present in the moment, very slice of life kind of images. Obviously, one of the best street photographers, Joel Meyerowitz, fantastic photographer. But more of the modern ones, there's this really good black and white photographer. His name is Ellen's. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm gonna butcher it, but it's Ellen Schaller, Schaller, if I'm not mistaken. He takes absolutely wonderful street black and white images that are very, very almost art-esque. And then another one that's great on social media is Joe Greer, fantastic photographer. Yeah, he was from he used to live in New York, then he moves, I can't remember which part, but it's those kind of photos that are very, very much etched into society and culture. When you see like just an everyday sort of life, those are the kind of images that I like to see, because I think that's what represents the thing that we see the most, yet we see the least. We see this every day, but we don't really notice them, and that's why I really enjoy that. Yeah. Okay, Rhiannon?
For me, I have like two role models. So I've always mentioned Brooke Shaden. She has a lot of very gritty, texturized, fine art, conceptual pieces, and she's also a self-portrait artist. So a lot of her stuff inspired my previous stuff, which is very dark, moody, and grungy. But I've always been a fan of Rosie Hardy. I'm not too sure if you guys know her. She creates really, really beautiful, whimsical, surreal self-portraits. So it makes it look like the world is more dreamy. Something like what Keisha was talking about. So I'm a big fan of hers, and with that, that's why I'm starting to work on different kind of photography style now as well. Yeah, more brighter things, make everybody say, yeah. Next up, anyone else?
I can go. I think mine has always been the two favorite, which is Platon Antonio. I learned a lot of things from him. And Annie Leibovitz, because we have the same initial.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan. I know that's so cringy, but yeah, I think, okay, let's start with Annie Leibovitz first. Like, I really, although there's only one shot so far that I don't really like, the whole set, which is that in particular, because sometimes you just wish, I like her even more because for the first time I disagreed what she does. So I think it was the one she captured Simone Biles. So don't cancel culture me, but yeah, when she captured the gymnast, that I don't really feel like she fully captured it. But then
okay, I think I know which one you're talking about.
It wasn't well lit. Yeah,
it doesn't do the whole thing justice, but it kind of like take a step back, like, whoa, for the first time I actually don't really like what my idol is doing, but it's okay. So the reason why I like her is something about her is about identity. Like sometimes you just saw one photo on the internet and you were automatically like, oh, I think that's such an Annie Leibovitz photo. Then when you click, oh, it is her. So it's something that I always hope to achieve, that when people see that even without your byline or without any mentions or anything, that is that style and identity that injects or instilled in that photo. So I think more of it for me is Platon Antonio. If you guys really have the chance to go tonight, just go YouTube. He's a great storyteller. Just go YouTube and search Platon, Vladimir Putin, Platon, Aung San Suu Kyi, all in under 1 minute. He tells such a great story on this too. So
I think the Putin one was pretty good.
The Putin one was so...
Yeah, I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, the Aung San Suu Kyi one was good as well. So,
okay, I didn't see that one.
And then currently there's another one, is Netflix. Apparently it's free. You just go...
Oh yeah, Acacia was talking about it.
Watch it.
Okay.
Abstract one, right?
Sorry?
Yeah, haven't seen it yet.
Abstract episode?
Yeah, abstract one.
Yeah.
He taught me the idea of, as a photographer, but this is like, is debatable, which is you don't go in with a preconceived notion of what you want to shoot. because I heard a lot of people, especially in the photography industry or maybe in the current culture, it's always, I want this, I want to do this, I will make you beautiful. It's always I. So I mean, which I don't think, I mean, it can blame us as well. Sometimes we say it subconsciously, but for him, it's like he taught me a completely way to change to photograph is, okay, today I shoot this couple. How can I learn from them? What can I learn from them and stuff? And then I feel like the first time I used that was on a family graduation portrait. And I realized when I swap places of these brothers, and I realized from the spot, oh, the brothers actually don't like each other. So you as a photographer, right? In that 1 hour, you actually have the power to bring this family together. Maybe they are a dysfunctional family, you don't know, but they want a good picture, if you can see that. So as a photographer, you have the power to do that. Or as a wedding photographer, for any one of you out there, that you are hired to be next to the bride where no one else is, not even a mom. When gate crash, it's just you and the bride in that room, and she's very nervous. You actually have the power to actually ease the bride at that moment, because it's just you and the bride. So that's how Barathan taught me. And he has this stool where he takes everywhere. He shot people like, that's the most powerful stool. It's like he shot Gaddafi, he shot Bill Clinton, Obama, and it's the same stool who shot Congo rape victim. So that stool, he said that, photography has no boundary in social status. Whatever that stool he has, he brings to every assignment. It was set by all types of people, whether you are someone of profile or you are someone who doesn't have a voice. So yeah, I'm a fan of Barathan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bara,
So
you
yeah,
want to
Sam,
go?
go
You muted. You muted, Bara.
Can I hear Bara?
Muted.
Okay, I have 5. I'll do it very quickly. One is Photo Babak. This is during my my hairdressing time. So I really like his photos. After that is Steve McCurry. I really love the way he composed things. And then for portrait photography, I like Lindsay Adler. And then as things
Okay.
was changing, I really like Kedazi's work. And then 4 or 5 years ago, I really liked Johnson Swee's work. So these are all my idols. I'm done.
Nice.
Okay, so it took you guys a long time to get, and I still have no one in my head. I think mainly for my take on role models and idols and stuff like that is that I don't like to limit myself to one person's learning or one person's style, and I think that's how I like to see myself like a sponge. So basically what happens is that I expose myself to all the work out there, and somehow I'll average it out into my own style. And yeah, I honestly don't remember names. I don't remember like people or artwork and things like that. But I know for a fact that, let's say when I take a photo, I'm like, oh, I have seen this before somewhere, and that's my inspiration. But to bring it back to like who is that person or what is the art piece that I saw, I have no idea. I can probably describe to you something I've seen, but I can't pull out a specific instance. And I think that's how I work with, even in my creative work in advertising and things like that. I have a lot of inspirations. I just don't know where they come from, but they're definitely from somewhere that I've observed before. Somebody I've seen, somebody I've experienced. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, thank you guys so much. It's already 10 o'clock. It's 10:10. We went a bit further because it's kind of things, especially when we're talking about conversations, it's always fun to share. And as considering there's like 6 of us, which is very difficult to have a live stream in itself with 6 people having their own like thoughts to share. But let us know what you guys thought. If you would like more live streams like this, especially that they're more conversational, do let us know maybe topics that you'd like us to discuss, especially in a time where now, we can't really go out and shoot. We'd be more than happy to just come, talk and then just have fun, relax and learn from each other. So once again, don't forget, if you feel like you want to ask more questions, you can always ask in the comments below. We will probably take it personally, or you could always just DM us on Instagram, drop us an email. Any way you can reach us. I think it's pretty easy to find us based on like the comments or our Facebook and things like that. Just don't forget to ask if you have any more questions. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you everyone, all of us here. Hope you guys aren't too tired from talking too much.
I think we